we are recording, so we'll officially welcome this group to the Phase 2 Expert Reviewer Training for the Building Envelope Innovation Prize for the prototype submissions. You know Rachel and I, and our agenda will be very similar to the previous slide. Rachel, do you want to jump in, or should I cover these?
Let you go. You're so good at this.
All right. Very similar. So we are now focusing on the phase or the bullet 1 here, the physical prototype submission. So the prototypes themselves, 6 total prototypes. So again, you guys all will receive 3 identical prototypes for phase 2 testing, and you're all very familiar with the size requirements here. This is what was listed in the rules and also what we anticipate, obviously, the competitors sending prototypes for. Similarly, the prototype scoring overview is the same sliding scale, so from that 0 to 6, but you will notice for the prototype scoring that each bulleted criteria statement will be doubled. So what that means for HeroX, I'll go into a little bit later. It's just ultimately we are placing more weight towards the prototype scoring to help kind of edge prototype importance for the competitors. So these all should be very familiar with you all, but we just wanted to run through the evaluation criteria. So there are 3 sections that you all will be scoring, and on a score again of 0 to 6, and then again prototypes will be scored against each statement here, and then will be doubled on the back end. So the first kind of criteria is the construction quality, and overall, looking at the overall quality of the product demonstrates structural integrity. So as you're going through HeroX, and you'll see you're going to score each of these bullets, so from a 0 to 6. So the material quality and workmanship of the SGS product reflects a product that will endure. And the quality and seal of the adhesives of the window demonstrates a high quality product. The dimensions of the window are accurate. Next, evaluation criteria will be the ease and quality of the installation. So following the manufacturer's provided instructions, the SGS product was easy to install. The installation limits the use of specialized knowledge and tools. The product demonstrates quality installation during the installation of the prototype testing system, and the weight of the panel was appropriate for the installation size.
So I bet, can I ask a question now, Emily?
Yeah, no, go for it.
So the first one, I think Luis and I definitely could have input on, but the second, this section, or sorry, no, the previous one, go back. Right, like Howdy's going to be doing the installation of these, and I feel like he's probably the only one that, I mean, I guess he's going to have to tell us. If Luis and I are judging it, he's going to be telling us, right, the results of this, because we're not going to be there installing it with him.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's okay, then that's fine. I just wanted to be clear on that. That's, it's maybe Howdy will have somebody helping him, but we're not going to be there doing the installation with him.
Yeah. But you could still comment on the quality or understandability of the installation instructions, I guess. I mean, if it makes sense to you what to do based on reading the instructions. I mean, it is different from the physical, details of what it's like to actually do it, but I think,
I guess there's a distinction, because the instructions themselves are not scored, right?
Right.
It's how well basically, I guess if this is that first bullet is basically scoring the instructions if the product matches the installation instructions and everything. So yeah, I mean, it's still, I guess we're going to be, it's going to be based on what Howdy says, right? Because he's actually physically doing it. I just want to be clear about that. I don't know if that means that Howdy is the only one who should give its score, or if that's okay if he can talk to us about it. We can have meetings about it and whatever. But and Luis can definitely go check him out, but he won't be there, for the installation. And I may try to go and do a site visit as well, just to physically see these things before it's done. But I don't know if I'll be able to, because this is right in the middle of our spring break. I'm gone for a week of it and all that stuff. We've talked about that before. So it's going to be hard for me to get down to the lab during this time. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up just as.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Rachel, do you have any initial thoughts on, like, on one hand, it would be good to get multiple eyes on each, submission, but on the other hand, if you're the only one doing them, like the only one scoring this part, I don't want to be duplicative.
So
Could try. We could talk to Luis. I mean, or Howdy, maybe we could talk to Luis when he's back and see if, we have 3 of these, right? So we could potentially have Luis do one installation of them. Or we could have somebody else on LVL do it. One of our like junior staff do one of the others, right? Like Howdy do one, somebody else do another. And then, Luis or I could give the points based on what they said, right? Like it might come from me, but it's like they said, okay, give them these scores, and I just input it because I'm doing scoring everything else. If that makes sense.
Rachel, you're on mute.
yeah. Okay, I see a couple ways to do this, and I think you need to choose one so that we're not all over the place. So either LBNL as a whole gives one set of scores. So one of you will input everything. Or you team it, like you were saying. So Robert and intern 1 or junior staffer 1 and Howdy and Luis, or some combination to get to all of those scores.
Yeah. Do we have to have an answer today, or can we wait until Luis is back? And
we can wait till Luis is back. I'm good with that.
Okay. Because I think the best, the best would be is if we had 3 different people do an installation and
do
it that way. Which, Howdy, maybe Luis, or 2, junior people that just do it, like Howdy gives them the instructions and the mask wall and says, have fun. I think that would be really the best test of the installation. So I think it'd be great if we could do it that way, and then they can just tell Luis and I or whatever. So let's try. We'll try to do it that way. We'll let you know if that's not going to work out.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I agree. I think for like the way Hero X is scored too, all of these 3 sections will show up on all of your reviewer, you 3 as reviewers. So for like scoring simplicity's sake too, it's nice to have 3 different views for comparison.
Okay. So we'll try to do it that way. Does that sound good, Howdy? That we can try to get that?
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Like maybe Isabel, who just walked in behind Howdy a second ago. That was we might be able to get her to do it. And then maybe Luis, or somebody else you want, or somebody else. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll figure out. We'll try to get some that could work out well.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Yeah, and here's that last of the 3 criteria here. So the energy savings over baseline window. bullet points here. So product demonstrates significant savings over baseline building, hourly simulation, so peak load reduction that result in cost saving for building, air leakage, according to AERC 1.2, was significantly reduced over the baseline window. And then the product demonstrates significant savings over the baseline building. And so, Rob, do you anticipate you and Luis also are able to score this section fine?
Yeah, I mean, so we're gonna have. I was just trying to actually look at our who I had planned on doing the simulation work. But either way, whoever we have doing it will, they'll have a results, and then we can take those results and we can give it our own number, right?
Perfect. Okay.
Our interpretation of how that performs. So
great. And so all three categories add up to be 144 points. And if you remember from the training before this, the submission package itself was around 240 points. So prototypes are less than submission package, but still a very significant portion of the competitor's phase 2 submission.
yeah.
Okay, so talking about the reviewer logistics, so the timelines are a little bit different and give you guys more time than obviously the 3 weeks that the submission package calls for. So we're anticipating, right, competitors submitting or postmarking by April 3rd on this Thursday. And so we anticipate LBNL will have about 3 months to test and score the prototypes accordingly. And then as a reminder, and I'll send the rules out again, to follow the testing details and methodology that you guys outlined in the rules to be consistent for the competitors, because that's what they're obviously anticipating scoring on. And then the prototype scoring itself, so it's the same exact window. It will be open on HeroX until June 27th. So as you're testing, you can put these scores in, or you can wait, till the end and you've tested all of them and go back and put the scores in. The platform will be open for you up until June 27th for prototype scoring. And then I will skip through these because we did most of it in the first training. But the points I wanted to call out here is now you will see the submission form for prototype, and it'll be very easy once you click in to know if you're in the right place, right? Because you'll see either the criteria we went over right now or the criteria from the package. So just double check you're in the right place when we're scoring. Same thing, you will go through and set a score for each of these submissions. And then, as I mentioned before, a lot of the criterias or every criteria will be doubled, but HeroX does not have the functionality to do it for us. So you will still score on a score from 0 to 6, but just keep in mind that on the back end, that score, for example, if you gave it a 3, would be doubled accordingly. And then same for comments here. You will have a place to enter submission comments for the competitors and can click submit and done. All right, so wrapping up with next steps here. The prototype calendar testing period is April 3rd, or as soon as we start seeing submissions come through June 27th, and all scores must be inputted to HeroX by June 27th at 5 p.m. And of course, you guys could reach out to us with any questions. So that is it. Any questions specific on prototype scoring?
Okay, one question is, so why are we making the other review section timelines so much shorter because we have a longer timeline here, right? You have to wait for this to be done to go anywhere anyway.
Yeah. Rachel, you look like you want to answer?
It's we can get everything done, and people always do to the timeline.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Just to get it done
we
faster.
usually, yeah, we only give 2 weeks usually. So we gave 3 weeks this time. Uh, just get it done, and we'll get it. Then we'll do kind of we'll have our stuff ready on our end. And you needed all this time for the prototype testing, right? So
Yeah, we definitely needed more time than 3 weeks. So
yeah,
how do you can say if June is I think
Yeah, I
that's
think it looks good. Yeah.
okay.
But yeah, obviously, yeah, I mean, how do you can try to accelerate that and go quicker as we can,
Mhm.
but yeah, especially if we receive 7 of these, we have to do all these tests on them. Doing in 3
Yeah.
weeks would have been very difficult. So
Yeah, we don't need to do it in 3 weeks. But whatever timeline we can hit would be great. I think there's also just some things on this side, like we're looking at the review of this program in May, probably right now. So we're not announcing winners in June, probably. Anyways,
gotcha.
great.
So I had a small question on one of the scoring criteria was accuracy of dimensions, and I guess I was just wondering if, I mean, I can look at that two ways, is like how it feels like it fits in the space we have, but also I don't know necessarily what they think their target dimension is based on the dimensions we gave them. So I can't really say whether they hit that or not, unless it's in their CAD drawings for our particular opening size, what their target dimension is.
They should be meeting the rules. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a kind of just wording nuance thing. It's just, the dimensions of the window are accurate. That could be that they're accurate to what they intended. That doesn't mean it fits well. That just means that they cut it to the size they intended to. But if you want us to comment on how well it fits, that's more like the one above it, where it's the quality, maybe the quality of the seal. So I guess I was just trying to get at what was trying to be determined by dimensions are accurate, because that could just mean that I mean, accurate dimensions could be any number of things offset from the dimensions we gave them. And if I don't know that offset, I don't know how accurate it was. But
Robert, do you have any suggestions on that?
Well, I'm hoping that their drawings will tell us, how do you they're supposed to have a gasket or whatever and have, this perimeter gap or whatever. I'm hoping, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will.
Yeah. Okay.
So I get your confusion. Yeah, it might be. I mean, I guess I would look at this as well. Is that? I would say you could interpret it as the fit of the, does it fit as design? But I think there was another section that asking those questions already.
Yeah, the one that's talking about quality of seal is kind of the fit, I guess. But yeah, I'll make it work and just try to be consistent with the others. It's just, I guess, without knowing if they're going to provide their intended target dimension for our particular opening, it's difficult to say whether I could say that they cut to the accurate dimension. But
So it's defined in the rules what their dimensions are. It's in Appendix
well,
A.
that's the opening, right? Yeah. But everybody has their own criteria for how they cut to a given opening. and I don't know what that is unless they specify it.
So Rachel, they'll like every manufacturer will have a different because there has to be some clearance.
Tolerance.
They can't make the exact size. So most manufacturers will undersize by 1/8 of an inch or something like that. That's pretty typical. But so that's what Howdy's saying. Like maybe manufacturer A undersizes by 1/4 of an inch for their system, and that's how it's meant to be installed. Where somebody else is 1/8, and it's because any window in the field is going to be out of square, right? Like every window out in the field is out of square, and so they have to be able to tolerate that in their design.
So and they have different amount of tolerance based on how compliant their gasket is and things like that.
So maybe Howdy, maybe we can interpret. Well, actually, so is there a previous one? Not construction quality, but like the installation quality, something like that. Is there?
Like the ease of?
Yeah. What? Yeah. Okay. So product demonstrates quality installation. So okay. So maybe we can interpret those last two, Howdy, is if you go back to the other one. Like the quality of seal and adhesives, like that's like independent of installation. That's just like, did they do the glazing and the seals that they're using in the product, are those high quality, right? Are they just using, is this sealant bleeding all over the window or whatever, or they have gaps in it and stuff like that, and the seals are, they aren't butting correctly, that could be like that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe the last one is with the gasket in place, does it fit well, right? Like there are gaps in the installation, because in the previous install one it didn't mention like gaps or anything like that. So we can
that makes sense.
it that way is like, does it fit as they, I guess, basically describe in the installation instructions, with the gasket and everything. They might not give us their downsize numbers, but we just be consistent, I guess, with that interpretation of this.
Yeah, that's what I was going to recommend. Like, one, being consistent, whatever approach you decide for all the prototypes, and then two, just making sure it matches the official rules, terminology, and methodology of what we had communicated to the competitors that they'd be tested on. Any other questions, Howdy or Robert?
No, I don't think so. And so you had that tracking sheet that I guess I can enter when I start receiving things.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be super helpful, just so that I'm not emailing you every day like, did we get any, and bugging you. Just have one place to see any that come in.
Were they supposed to email us as well, or you as well, when they sent it?
Yeah, they are supposed to email envelope prize and then copy Howdy.
Okay. So I guess you should know at least when somebody sends it, hopefully, but possibly you might not. They might forget to do that, but okay. So they have 2 more days, and we haven't had anybody send anything yet?
That's correct.
Yeah. All right. Fun. Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.